We are live now, we can start.
Good evening. A warm welcome to you all. I am your host, Dr. Meenakshi Bhattacharjee, bringing to you all another webinar session on gender and sexuality with Enajuri. At the outset, I would like to brief you all about Enajuri. Enajuri means the bond of love. And it is this bond of unconditional love for his native land that brought back Milind Datta, the founder of Enajuri, from the US to start a non-profit organization in 2018, which engages and promotes numerous initiatives that are striving for social change, honing leadership skills and building entrepreneurship capabilities in the Northeast, including Assam, are to name a few. For the last few years, we have been engaging in speakers from various fields via virtual media to create awareness about gender and sexuality. Today, we are in conversation with three speakers, Dr. Mukul Sharma, Ms. Raghavi, and Ms. Kiran Badoni. So we are going to talk on the topic same-sex marriage. About the speakers, Dr. Mukul Sharma have been working at Bapujee College, Sarukshetri Assam since 1997. He is one of the pioneer Assamese queer writer, activist, and researcher in LGBTQIA+ issues. Ms. Kiran Badoni is currently pursuing her PhD in Economics Department of Economic Study and Planning, Central University of Karnataka. Along with this, she is also a research fellow at ICCSR Institute of Public Enterprises, Hyderabad, Telangana. Her research topic is a study on transgender empowerment in India with special reference to Uttar Pradesh state. Her area of specialization is gender economics, developing economics, and econometrics. Our third speaker today is Raghavi. She is a trans woman with a background in commerce and now pursuing law at the Campus Law Center, Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. She serves as the student editor for Your Voice and assistant editor for Journal for Human Rights Research. She's also a member of Human Solidarity Foundation and Communi-T and a fellow with the Institute for Human Rights Research. She has been regularly participating and conducting workshops and seminars on the rights of transgender person and striving for a society that's queer sensitive. So we look towards a very fruitful session today. We welcome all of our speakers and we look forward to listening to you. Over to you, Dr. Mukul Sharma.
Namaskar. Thank you, Meenakshi, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you all the members of Enajuri. I'm also a member of this NGO, and today's topic is to a certain extent, very much it's being talked in media in varied ways, same-sex marriage. And what I want to say is regarding this marriage, whether we need it or not, this is the question, right? And it's going on in Supreme Court. The whole hearing processes are going on. The process of hearings are going on, and the whole process of getting whether same-sex marriage should be given in India or not. That the whole process is going on, and it talks about not only everybody we are aware that it violates not allowing the same-sex marriage, violates the constitutional ethos, right? Equality, dignity. But that is not the all, right? Why it is happening, we have to know. Why all people, all educated people, all the members of the parliament, legislators, all are very much aware that it's breaking the main ethos of the constitution, the equality, the concern of equality, concern of dignity. But still, why people are silent, or why people are not giving voice for this right? Why the central government is opposing the same-sex marriage, the legality of the same-sex marriage in India? That's why it's very interesting, actually. It's deep-rooted, actually, in the collective homophobia we have. It's a result of the collective homophobia, and that is why, actually, that that is why we are not getting it, and why we have to fight in court for this. And see, it's just in 2018 September we have the legalization of gay sex, right? And that created the path of court procedure of having the rights of same-sex marriage. And now since the central government is opposing, and although everybody is aware that people are not treated equally, although they have recognized same-sex relationship, gay sex relationships, then my concern is that that it's, even if same-sex marriage is legalized in India, it does not create a happy or very peaceful kind of situation overnight. To have a healthy environment, to have an economically viable environment here and help boosting health of our citizens, we need same-sex marriage. We need homophobia-free society, and legalization of same-sex marriage is one part of having this that kind of healthy society where the economic prosperity is possible. Lot of writers, even famous writers like Vikram said, like many other writers says that the homophobic situation is one of the reasons why the India is not achieving the economic prosperity as per other countries. And we are not comparing here to the developed countries. And now when you feel that why the need of same-sex marriage, it's just not only because the people who have serious kind of relationship, they need it. We need in general, because it's breaking our, it's not giving us the due healthy, situation. It's not giving us the situation where we can economically prosper. Why? I'm telling you that when people are denied the basic rights, right, which is enshrined in the constitution. So when you disrespect the whole government, disrespect the constitution, it's not only respect the constitution, it's respecting whole citizen of Indian citizens. It's, and when as an educated person that they are people everywhere are actually disrespecting you because you are in a LGBTQ community, a minority stigmatized, discriminated community. Majority of people cannot work properly. And since I have been working for the gay people, especially of Assam, I know a majority of the hidden gay youths, they are facing mental health issues. One of the main issues they have been facing here is the mental disability. They look very healthy. They may go to the gym, they may attend the party and all, but they have lost the concentration level. They have lost their vigor to compete for earning, for competition of the earning, and that ultimately it affects the economy. And this is interlinked to the health, because the mental health, without having a sound mental health, a person cannot flourish in any of his fields, be it economy, be it his profession, be it in other areas. So it's very integral actually. So homophobia it's very ingrained in Indian society, and it's culturally rooted. And for generations and generations, for centuries, it has been going there. And it's still very much here. For example, it's Nalbari. It's a big one of the populated districts of Assam, and one of the educated districts of Assam. And because my job is in Borpeta district, that is one of the largest districts and one of the most populated district of Assam too, in Bapujee College. And my original home is Nalbari, that is another district. So I've been noticing these two districts, and I have been talking to uh, uh, many LGBTQ community, especially the gay people, all are hidden in Albury. It's very unfortunate to tell that in Albury, I do not get another person who has come out and to whom I can go and can talk about freely about LGBTQ issues as a gay person. It's so difficult to have. In my workplace is something like there you don't find, even in a district, even in a Borpeta district, I do not find another person who has come out. We tried here in Albury, we tried here, our young leaders, 2-3 leaders tried here to have a community meeting in a public place like a park or a field. They are not able to hold a community meeting of consisting of only 7 or 8 members. So this is the scenario. For three years, I have been trying. And this is the scenario almost every districts of Assam, except this Kamrup Metro. And of course, in Upper Assam, there is a change. So this is why it is happening. We cannot blame to the community members. It's because of the rooted homophobia. Everybody is like the legislators. They are silent regarding the same-sex marriage, right? They are not opposing directly, but they are silent. Earlier, what happens when Congress government was in power? At least Rahul Gandhi talked about the rights of the same-sex marriage and all. But this time, since he is struggling for having the power, have you noticed him talking about LGBTQ rights, although it is going on in the Supreme Court? So he is remaining silent. He has to remain silent because he has to think about the vote banks. So this is the scenario. People knows that they are actually depriving people, and it's very integral to give them rights. But because of this, collective homophobia, which is ingrained in him, consciously or unconsciously, they have to remain silent. And this silence, people are taking advantage of this silence. Everybody has the issues, right? Politician has the issues because they have to win another session. They have to win the power. For another 5 years. So, and we are becoming the victim. But I'm telling you that giving the same-sex marriage rights does not solve the society's, LGBTQ societies or communities problem overnight. We LGBTQ people have to come out in a major way. Then only people will, start taking us, like taking people like me, for giving values for them. Otherwise, everybody is taking them for granted. Even the highly educated people the other day, who is a relative, she told me that you are talking about these people through Assamese media in your autobiography novel. This is being published in Hathori. She was reading it. She was a college professor, now retired. She was telling me that, see, this is within 1 lakh, maybe one person is transgender, or one person is a gay person. So within 1 lakh, if one person has come out like this as a gay person, so who will take care of their issues that you have been raising through this, chapters in your autobiography novel, Mohida Busitra? So this is the question from a very highly educated person who has a very soft corner for me, who has a strong support for me. And this is the scenario. So people, the youth, all the LGBTQ members, a majority of them actually have to come out. Then only the government will take it seriously. And then only after having this marriage rights, maybe, because after suppose they are getting it, so review petitions will fall in Supreme Court, right, immediately, because lots of homophobic organizations are operating against, right? The government is also one of the homophobic units that are not supporting. So this review petition, again, the court will take lots of time. And after that, again, the issue of curative petitions are also there. So how many years the people have to wait for a basic rights like marriage? It's a basic right. And you know, in love, if it is true, people want dignity to have sex. So marriage actually a bond of having sex in a dignified way, right? So if we do not feel dignity, if the gay people or the LGBTQ, all the LGBTQ people do not feel dignity to live their normal life, how can they prosper in the other areas, like their profession, which is one of the most integral in their life. In a society like India, where a lot of corruptions are there, a lot of competitions are there, nepotism are there. So it's very interlinked to the mental health. I mean, the health, boosting health, as well as boosting the economic prosperity of our country, the same-sex marriage rights. That would clearly, I see that will clearly erase some portions of the homophobia which is prevailing in the society. Right now, I stop here, then continue after another speaker's break. Yeah, Raghavi, you want to add here, since you are a law practitioner?
Yes, we have Raghavi. So, Raghavi, welcome to today's session. Would you like to speak about your views regarding the topic? Raghavi, do we have you?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay. So yeah. So see, the thing is that I'll go beyond same-sex marriage, which I prefer calling marriage equality, because when you say it's same-sex marriage, then again you uh, start talking about marriage in terms of binaries, which is male and female. And a lot of people who do not identify with either, for example, intersex people or transgender folks, they are left out of the discourse. So that is one thing that I would like to point out, that when you say same-sex marriage, it leaves out uh, a large chunk of other queer people. Uh, and if you look at the petitions that were filed before the Supreme Court, and if you go through the hearing, you realize that there were a lot of parties, and there were a lot of IAs that were filed which dealt with marriage equality and not same-sex marriage. Their demand was that the laws and the legislations and the statute books which are related to marriage laws should describe marriage as something between two adults. It should not have a gender attached to it, which is that a marriage could be between a man and a woman only, or if we try to extend it to the if we try to extend it beyond that understanding, then it should not be restricted to same-sex marriage. So that is one. Now, see, the important issue is that that if you look at the whole hearing that happened throughout, you realize that there is not enough scope within the laws. If you look at the reading of the law, if you do the reading of the law, you'll realize that the laws related to marriage that are there are very strictly, like they in a very strict sense, they are binary. So no matter in what order you try to interpret them, there always will be a binary interpretation of the laws, and that is why it becomes very important that there is a radical sort of shift in the understanding of the marriage, not just from the judiciary or not just from the courts, but also within the society. Uh, and that is why, because marriage as a concept is something that involves multiple stakeholders. There are individuals involved, there is society and community involved, and then there is state involved, which has certain control over marriage. So if you try to have a radical transformation where you have people who do not believe and who do not look at marriage just as procreation or just as something which could happen between a man and a woman, for that you'll have to have uh, not just the efforts from the judiciary, but you also need to have people within the community, within the society, working at a very basic level, explaining to people things that largely remain in the realm of certain of people belonging to certain class. So because in my these few years that I've been working with people working with community, I've realized that there is acceptance. You sometimes get acceptance from unexpected places. So I know people who came out to their parents as gay, as lesbian, as queer, or as a trans person, and they did not find that acceptance. They did not get that acceptance from their parents, irrespective of the fact that their parents were well read, well educated. Some of them were professors, others were working professionals, this and that, but they did not accept their child. And I have seen people coming from rural pockets, coming from very humble backgrounds, and their parents who did not even go to college or school. There, I have seen acceptance taking place. So I realized that it is also a problem of the message that is going out there, or whether a message is going out there or not, whether people are able to understand things or not, or whether they are getting the right information. So I think these factors need to be kept in mind when we talk about marriage discourse, because it just can't be one way. And we also need to realize that if court gets into radical interpretation of laws, then it will have repercussions for other areas. Also, we have uh, something called uh, separation of power, where everyone has their own work to do. So legislature makes the law, judiciary works as a watchdog. So for me, it would have been better had the acceptance come from uh, the places where it should be coming from. For example, the government, but unfortunately, it isn't. So we don't have any option left other than the court itself, which is there to protect our rights. So I think what we miss out largely when we talk about marriage equality debate, or what a lot of people call same-sex marriage discourse, is also the fact that how much interference are we going to allow the state, or how much interference is going to be there from the state in our personal lives. That is one issue I feel. And the second issue is that whether it will have effect on strengthening the idea of binaries. So, for example, if you keep talking about same-sex marriage, and if you keep saying same-sex marriage, will we have uh, a possibility where a trans person can also think of getting married without being in any of the binaries? So, for example, uh, there is a marriage system that recognizes a marriage between a man and a woman. And uh, for a long time, the debate has been about same sex marriage. Now, if there is a person who does not fall in either of the binaries, uh, will that person be allowed to get married, or how will that person be allowed to get married? That is one thing. Second thing is that whether that will put pressure on, or whether it does put pressure, because I know a lot of people, a lot of trans people who are very comfortable with their bodies and everything, and they don't want to go for any medical intervention. So whether they will find place in the marriage structure that we already have, or what we are asking for. So I think it has to be kept in mind that when we talk about marriage equality, we need to realize that there are more stakeholders than we realize. It's not just the gay men, it's not just the lesbian women, but there are a lot of other people who identify with different identities, and we will have to be mindful of that. Yes, I think that will be my initial comments.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Raghavi. Like you have shed a different light to the entire topic. Like so many of us might be feeling like we were so wrong to say same-sex marriage. It should be actually marriage equality, right? So we will come back again for the discussion. We will go to our move on to our next speaker, who is Kiran. Kiran, we'd love to listen to your views.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. As I was just listening the ideas of Mukul sir and Raghavi ma'am, and most of the aspect of this topic is already covered by them. And thank you so much, Raghavi ma'am, to cover the social aspect, and Mukul sir to aware us about the same-sex marriage. But before moving ahead, I would like to give a brief definition of marriage in a simple word. As we know that marriage is like a contract between a man and woman in which the husband and wife agree to live together. And according to Article 21, everyone has a right to choose his her partner. So according to this constitutional right, when everyone has a chance to choose his her partner, so why not the LGBTQ community? And especially if we are talking about same sex, as we know that it's all about homosexuality, that refers to the attraction between people who are of same sex. So here, as my agenda is that there are different kind of marriages, and one of that is most common is convenient marriage. That is basically follows in India, where male and female just invite so many peoples and they takes oath in the front of the god and say that ki janmo janmo tak main tera saathi hu and all. If it is allowed in the case of cisgender on the basis of equality, like they have the provision of Article 21 and they don't face any kind of discrimination. So my question is, why not it is similar for all the individuals? And when India is talking about that, they have already implemented NALSA, Transgender Person Protection Bill 2019, and Section 377 has also decriminalized this all things. So keeping these facts, I will give some of the reasons why India is against of same-sex marriage that I have just collected from so many research papers. Like they think that their religions and cultural beliefs are not be in a favor of same-sex marriage. I don't want to take the some religions, but in some religions, when I was just reading the so many research articles or the Hindus Times or the Times of India articles and all, they are written that it is basically because of religious and cultural beliefs. But now I will give the reasons why people support the same-sex marriage. Number one is equality and human rights. Supporters of same-sex marriage argue that all individuals, regardless of their sexual orientation, should have the equal right and opportunity, including the right to marry the person they love, and that is also enshrined in our constitution in Article 21. Second is love and commitment. If marriage is considered as a symbol of love and commitment, and it is a celebration of like happiness or understanding between two individuals, then why not it's for non-binary communities. Third is legal protection and benefits. Marriage provides legal and financial protection and benefits to couple. By legalizing same-sex marriage, advocates argue that same-sex couple would gain access to range of legal rights and benefits such as inheritance rights, health insurance coverage, tax benefit, and ability to make medical decisions for their partners. As we know that most of the gay, lesbians, they are out of their families and they don't have any support. But if they will marry, they have some partner who can take like decisions regarding their medical health, regarding their health insurance, regarding their employment, and they will be a good partners for each other. Then now the question is, as we know that these are the some of the parts which shows that okay, we should support the same-sex marriage. So what is the need? The need is like the Supreme Court judgment, as we are focusing on legal protection and benefits, and second is society acceptability, as Raghavi ma'am already covered this area. Now I want to give few countries name who have already adopted the same-sex marriage law in their countries. The first is Argentina, the second is Australia, and the third is Belgium, and the fourth is Brazil. Now I would like to read the Argentina law of same-sex marriage. Argentina is one of the countries that has legalized same-sex marriage. The law legalizing same-sex marriage in Argentina was passed on July 15, 2010 through the enactment of marriage equality law, as that this portion is already covered by Raghavi ma'am, that we are not demanding something new, but we are demanding equality in marriage system in India. So what they did in Argentina, they just enacted this law under the marriage equality law. And they also amended the Argentina Civil Code to remove any gender-specific language defining marriage. So as we know that our fundamental rights or fundamental duties are already adopted from various countries. So in case of same-sex marriage, I think it will be a good help for our country if they will follow the other countries based on some amendments. But if they will say that, okay, we will not support the same-sex marriage, so it is, according to me, it's not a solution of many things. Now, in a very nutshell, I want to give the economic benefits of same-sex marriage. As I'm a student of economics, so I would like to give the economic impact of same-sex marriage in India if it will be implemented. First is wedding industry will get promoted, as same-sex marriage would create a new market segment within the wedding industry, leading to increasing demand for wedding planners, venue, photographers, and all. Second, tourism will be promoted, as India will be known for one of the reasons of legalizing same-sex marriage, and it will get better tourism facilities all over the world. Third is employment and income tax. Legal recognition of same-sex marriage would allow both partners to enjoy the same employment benefits such as health insurance, as I already mentioned, the retirement plans, which are currently only available to opposite sex married couples. And this will contribute to the more equitable workforce and enhance employee satisfaction. Then consumer spending will also get increased, as same-sex couple would have the ability to create a stable household and families, which could lead to the increased consumer spending in various sectors such as housing, homes, goods, child rearing, and other family-related expenses. Then corporate diversity and inclusions will also get promoted. So these are some of the main benefits that our country will get if they promote same-sex marriage. With these words, I would like to end here. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Kiran. So now we are up for our discussions. So the first question is, what are the difficulties which we face from the society or our peers and colleagues, our immediate relatives, friends and colleagues, when we try to convince our point that, like, same-sex marriage should be legalized? And how would you like to preach your point that, it should be legalized?
Like, as I'm a cisgender, ma'am, but I'm working on transgender, so most of the time students just ask me about my sexuality. As whenever I just go to meet them and I just want to tell them that according to me, along with sex education, students should also will get education about gender preference and sexual orientation. So most of them are like, okay, Didi, aap sahi bol rahe ho. After going from that, they start laughing and they just commented ki, "Are Didi pooch ke gayi hai. Maybe she is from that community and all." So this is the first reaction that I'm getting from my university students. And if you are saying that the same-sex marriage को बताने के लिए कि promote होना है, उससे पहले मैम, it is very important that we should first aware them about the meaning of same-sex marriage, as most of the people think that transgenders are also included in it, but in reality they are not. तो हमें उन्हें अवेयर करना है, एंड बेसिकली कुछ लॉ होने चाहिए आपके यूनिवर्सिटीज में भी रिगार्डिंग दैट. इफ देयर मे बी, आई थिंक देयर शुड बी अ डिबेट कॉम्पिटिशंस और पैनल डिस्कशंस. बहुत ज्यादा आपको अवेयर करने की जरूरत है. जितना आप किसी आदमी को लड़की ना छेड़ने के लिए अवेयर करते हैं, अभी जैसे कि निर्भया केस हुआ तो सबको ये, या हैदराबाद केस हुआ तो आपने उनको रेप विक्टिम को रेप सर्वाइवल बोलना वर्ड चेंज किया. उसी तरह जैसे कि बहुत लोग होमोफोबिया वर्ड को इतना इजीली ले लेते हैं मैम. जैसे मेरी यूनिवर्सिटी में तो ये है कि अगर मैं जाती हूँ तो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम दे यूज्ड टू क्लैप बिहाइंड मी. तो इट्स वेरी कॉमन फॉर देम, बट नाउ इट्स टोटली अपॉन मी कि मैं उसको किस तरीके से लेती हूँ. एक पॉजिटिव सोच है, एक आपका ऑप्टिमिस्टिक बिहेवियर है कि आप उसको किस तरीके से रहते हैं। मेरे हिसाब से अगर आपको इन किसी को भी कन्विंस करना है कि सेम सेक्स मैरिज क्यों होना चाहिए, वी हैव टू गिव देम सम रीजंस विद एग्जांपल्स एंड दैट आई हैव ऑलरेडी गिवन। थैंक यू मैम।
Yeah, can I add, Meenakshi?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, Kiran was telling about the homophobia or transphobia within the community. Even Raghavi is also hinting about that, or not telling about clearly that it is within the community. A lot of awareness is needed because the community members are the victim of homophobia, transphobia, queerphobia, and you know, like, unless the community member are fully aware, unless the community member come out to assert their rights, right? Who will take them, who take their issues seriously? Nobody would, right? This is the scenario actually, and everybody is telling it. To how to make them aware? That is a great issue where deep-rooted homophobia is there in the hands of the power. Like if you go to a offer a college or request a college to create an awareness program, they usually are not, they do not welcome you so easily, right? For example, I have been trying to create awareness in Upper Assam, right? Upper Assam colleges, several colleges have invited me to create awareness, especially in Assamese language, about LGBTQ issues, gender issues, and transgender issues. Right now, people have been fighting, and right now they have started. The government, Assam government, has started along with the other states, maybe, regarding the awareness of transgender protection rights and transgender protection rules formulated in 2021. And these rules, when I was invited in Gulaghar district and Borpeta district to create awareness regarding this, the immediately after and it's a very good point actually. I mean, Kiran has told that every college, every school, every university, if you visit, right, a representative like me or a representative like Raghavi visits and talks about the rights of LGBTQ people, transgender rights, as well as the gay rights, then you know that that particular meeting of 1 hour will, create a person, a youth, the coming out youth, instantly after this meeting. And I have an example when I visited DR College, right? That college had already a transgender student, and they do not know what category she was actually, but they knew that she is a transgender person, and she herself knew that she is a transgender person. And you cannot say that everybody is homophobic in a educated milieu. Some people support them. So that girl who thinks that she is a transgender person, she was being supported by the principal. So after my visit, after giving the lecture, the principal came here and introduced to meet me we are having food actually after, and the principal came to me along with the student, telling that we suspect we are giving her rights, although they are not giving the the urinals and all this, but they are giving the rights of wearing the uniform of her choice. It's a big problem in Assam, right? We have strict guidelines of uniform. That girl has to be has to wear the surida kameez, and the boys have to be pancha, and the girl is given the rights of that. So basic rights of wearing a uniform of her choice, it becomes a big issue, right? But she won that issue. And the next, there is another college, HPB Girls College. After my session, immediately after 1 hour, one girl, she's a male person now, she thinks her as a transgender man. That transgender youth telephoned me, telling me, sir, I am actually a transgender man person. So immediately I telephoned to the principal, to the gender sensitization cell, telling that one of your students has called me. I told her that she thinks herself a transgender person. She thanked me a lot. after the session. So this is the impact I have gotten after visiting 2 colleges. So it's very important to prevent mental disability I'm talking about. The suicide, it's a very prevalent, right? Suicide is happening there. Every community is facing. But if you go there, everybody will say, where is the data that you are telling that LGBTQ are having, victim of suicide tendencies? The numbers is more. Where's the statistics? Everybody tries to see it. So in terms of that, what I'm talking about, like the youth, people like Kiran and Raghavi, we need data actually of the community, their problems, right? Relevant data, so that we can project it in the minimum chances we get in the seminars and all. People are opening up a little bit in Assam. I'm talking about Assam because I'm extensively working in Assam. And I'm in a lower Assam, in a 2 districts I cover every day, Borpeta districts and Nalbari district. As I said, the most populated and educated. Nalbari is one of the top most educated districts and populated, overpopulated. And Borpeta is the largest district. But here, although I have my own friends, I have my own, relatives or colleagues there, or former classmates were there, not a single person is welcoming to invite me for the transgender awareness, which is being promoted by the government, Assam government. They are not even not willing to wholeheartedly to give me a chance to talk about. So this is the scenario. It doesn't mean that they do not like me. They are becoming silent out of this ingrained, like the collective homophobia, which will take time to go away. How to address these issues by our community member? As I said, we have to come out. What would be the consequences? At least the educated people who are financially a little strong, they have to come out. Like now in Assam, scenario of Assam, have you noticed that not a single petition is filed in the High Court, Assam High Court, seeking the same-sex marriage? It's almost, South Indian states, almost every state has the representative. Where is the representative from Assam? The seeking of a gay representative or transgender representative, seeking the same rights of same-sex marriage. Although people are here using media, telling that we are engaged here, like as a lesbian couple, we are engaged here, a transgender couple, we are engaged here, a gay couple. So media they have been using for their mental entertainment or focus, right? But that does not help you, right? Legally, that doesn't help you. It doesn't create the speedy the legal procedure. It needs representation from every state seeking the same-sex marriage rights. So Northeast is lacking behind. Why? We have people, right? But all our people, especially the gay people, I know majority of them are getting married. Why it is happening? Like Kiran said, it's because of they are not asserting their rights, because they are not aware of their own rights. Although they know that there's a great the need of being socially secure through marriage, that Indian mindset they have, and they are taking it the medium of being secure, and after that they are functioning as bisexual person, not the bisexual, but they are just functioning as bisexual. So this is the scenario at the present of the gay people. And the lesbian also, it would be in majority cases they are forced to marry. There are incidences I found in Golaghat, even the transgender person have to marry here. There's a transgender girl who was not aware of her gender identity. She was married to a boy. She thinks herself as a transgender. She behaves like a transgender male person, but she was married to a boy. And after that, she knew that she is not being happy with this married life, physical gratification at all. She is not having it. And after that, divorce happened suddenly. Within 2 months or so, and it was informed. I was informed by a social welfare officer. And after that, she knew that there's a transgender protection rights. She knew about that. And after that, now she is applying for this, for transgender certificate. See the plight of Assamese LGBTQ people, and they are all educated. Not they are like at least matriculation they have. And see the rule of government also, transgender protection rights, and now they have formulated the transgender protection rules, and there is no specific section where they have told about the marriage right. Right, they have not told anything about marriage right. Now the Raghavi says that there are many transgender who are comfortable without having this SRS, I mean like sex reassignment surgery. And now how will they get the marriage right? Because the marriage will be under this same sex right, I mean the problem, having the same sex problem. So people do not think that these are transgender people, although the rule says that to become transgender, it's not SRS is not compulsory, but they do not know about their rights, right? They have to know about their rights, and who will make them aware? A majority of transgender people, if you know they behave like a transgender people, but they do not know what rights they have. At least the government has given the rights to them. LGBTQ transgenders are the privilege, right, in terms of getting the rights these days, and even they are not aware of. And government is started to create awareness. Maybe 1 year, one seminar like this, and people do not join. What I noticed, the less people, I mean, like not too much people joined in those seminars. And in Borpeta district, it's very less. So this is the scenario. So how to improve this scenario is a big question. As an academician, what I feel, I try to create awareness in my college, wherever I try to go. I try to create awareness to the college authority that here is a colleague of your extended colleague like Mukul Sharma who can give you the workshop on gender issues, even in the SME, and you can invite him. That I can do, right? Everybody can do this kind of, really educated people can come forward and create awareness. But
Sir,
awareness is the key issue to me. Yeah.
Sir, this is Mitali Kumar. Hello.
Yes, Mitali.
Yes, Sare mane এইমাত্ৰ এটা কথা কৈছিলে যে আমি awareness program
Mitali, can you just switch to English? Like our two other speakers are not from Assam.
Can I speak in Hindi? Possible?
Yes, perfectly fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
please
fine. Actually, I use a mixed language ना, so okay.
Okay.
So अभी सर बोल रहे थे कि हमको मतलब अवेयरनेस के लिए मतलब और भी मतलब क्लासेस मतलब वो प्रोग्राम्स करनी चाहिए। और मैं मुकुल सर से मतलब बहुत दिनों से मैं बात कर रही हूँ, और ऊपर से मैं बहुत ट्राई कर रही हूँ कि मैं गुवाहाटी यूनिवर्सिटी से हूँ, सर मुझे जानते हैं, मैं बहुत ट्राई कर रही हूँ मेरे डिपार्टमेंट को कन्विंस करने के लिए और या कहीं और जाके कन्विंस करने के लिए कि हम एक प्रोग्राम करते हैं। और मतलब वो लोग बहुत प्रोग्राम्स करते हैं रिगार्डिंग एनी टॉपिक, but or they are always saying like you are feel free to talk about anything. तो मैंने बहुत बार बोला कि हम ऐसा कुछ प्रोग्राम मतलब कुछ करते हैं, बहुत बार बोला, और सर को भी बोला। मुझे तो अभी मतलब थोड़ा बुरा ही लग रहा है क्योंकि मैं कुछ उनको रिप्लाई नहीं कर पाई बाद में। तो ट्राई हमने किया था, लेकिन क्या होता है कि दे आर सेइंग दैट दे डोंट हैव फंड्स, एंड इवन सर ने भी मुझे कुछ आइडिया दिया था अलग से कुछ करने के लिए, खुद से कुछ करने के लिए, बट दे डोंट गिव परमिशंस। दैट्स द इशू एक्चुअली, बिकॉज आप किसी दूसरे टॉपिक पे आप बात कर सकते हो, लोग आएंगे, लेकिन इस टॉपिक पे मतलब वो बोल रहे थे कि इतना लोग तो नहीं आएंगे, आप लोग बुला भी लोगे तो उनका मतलब क्या होगा कि ज्यादा लोग नहीं आएंगे तो वो अच्छा नहीं लगता। सो सिनेरियो अभी यूनिवर्सिटी में भी ऐसा है, तो अगर यूनिवर्सिटी वगैरह में ही वो मतलब कॉन्सेप्ट है ही नहीं प्रॉपरली, तो आप कॉलेज में जाना तो मतलब बहुत दूर की बात है। तो हमको शायद मतलब मेरे हिसाब से लगता है कि पहले हमको यूनिवर्सिटीज वगैरह में मतलब हमको
Yes,
वो करना
Mitali.
करना चाहिए.
Yes, yes, Mitali, we got your question. So, if you do not mind, can I direct this question to Raghavi? I think
हाँ,
we
sure,
could
sure,
use
sure.
her. Yes, we could use her knowledge. Like, how do we legally make it possible for like colleges and universities to take induction programs or like awareness programs
Yeah, yeah.
as a part and
Sure,
parcel
sure.
of their coursework? Or
See, uh, see, legally you can't really do anything about it because I think there is some disturbance. Yeah.
yes, Mitali,
Uh,
unmute yourself, please. Mute yourself.
so,
Yes.
see, legally you can't really do anything about it because college administration has certain autonomy and they have they have agency over what events and what programs are taking place in the college. But if you consider the UGC guidelines, then I think it is important uh, because every college has to have their ICC has to have a gender and gender sensitization committee and everything. And it is important to incorporate within those structures also the other identities, uh, the sexuality part and also the gender identity part. Now, the important thing is that you can actually use Transgender Persons Protection Act, which talks about no discrimination policy in colleges, in universities, and other public places. It does talk about that, but you'll have to prove that you are being discriminated against. Uh, Here, you can't really say that you are being discriminated against because the college authority would again come up with the excuse that we don't have the funds, as you said, or we don't have this or that. So you actually, I think what you can do is you can have a letter that could be written by the students and signed by the students. And if you can get a good number of signatures on that, you can put a representation in front of the administration and ask them to and tell them that, see, there are going to be participants or there are going to be people in the audience. So please have this event. Another important thing is that you can tell them about the UGC guidelines, which I think do talk about having gender sensitization and all those workshops and seminars in college. So yeah, I think you can do that. I'll also I wanted to talk about something else as well, which is that because the topic is marriage equality. I hope you are satisfied with the answer first.
Yes, yes, I understand. It is correct. But however, UGC guidelines,
Yeah,
I work in a college. So
yeah,
UGC guidelines are very, I can rightly say they are vague.
yeah,
So
yeah. They're
whatever
very
they
good.
cover, they cover under the umbrella term of
Yeah,
anti-sexual harassment and
yeah,
gender sensitization,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is more directed towards women rights.
yeah,
And yes, so they do not identify uh, transgenders as a third gender. They
yeah.
they feel that trans men or trans women, so they
which is
want to
which is
face
which
the
is which
respective
is why
wrong.
you need to tell them that the Nalsa judgment does recognize and does ask the state and its agencies, which is a college or any public place, to recognize that there is another gender which is beyond male and female, which people call third gender, which I prefer calling as a transgender. So you need to tell them that. So when and if you have a co-joint reading of the Nalsa judgment, which recognizes transgender persons as another gender with the guidelines, and if you look at the word gender and its intersection between the guidelines and the judgment, you find that then gender has to be read to include transgender persons as well. It cannot be other way. Okay, because the court has said that gender includes male, female, and trans persons. So you cannot have any other reading. So when you talk about gender sensitization, it also has to include everyone. That is a different thing, that courts do give judgments, a lot of things happen, but the society takes its own time to adapt to it. Sometimes it's very slow, and that is why to rush that process, you have to really keep pushing. So that is one thing. And I think
Yes, I get it now how to put my
yeah,
points forward.
yeah, and
Thank you. Yeah.
another thing is that UGC actually has to come up with a proper policy on trans people, because, and that is precisely my point. You see, I as someone who has been working in like the crisis situations, I realize that I think we talk way too much about marriage, and we give way too importance to marriage when there are people who are not even allowed in educational institutions. And that is where my problem is, because the thing is that uh, uh, for a very long time, trans people have been working for equality. So even if you look at the greatest beneficiaries of decriminalization of 377 and the same-sex marriage, if it is if it gets the recognition, are going to be the homosexual people only. They are going to be the greatest beneficiaries of it, without realizing that there is a whole history of trans people struggling for it. So even if you look at the history of decriminalization of 377, uh, you realize that it's the trans people who were being arrested, it's the trans people who were being assaulted and who were being tortured by the police, it is the trans people who were being hounded by the police, and it is the trans people or the trans activists who were working in different NGOs that were being targeted. And that is how the whole journey of decriminalization happened with AIDS. There was a Sanstha, AIDS Bachao Andolan, something, something. Its name was. It was the first organization to file a petition, which did not really materialize into anything because the organization dissolved, and hence there was no party left in the dispute. So that is why the court, the petition also dissolved. And that is one aspect of it, that the trans people are usually left out, even though they are the foot soldiers, they are there on the ground. Trans people who are sex workers, they are the ones who are the victims, and they are the ones who struggle, and at the end of the day they do not benefit out of it. I talk to a lot of trans people, they do not benefit out of it. They need things that matter more to them and that matter more to their survival. So for example, a proper healthcare, education, employment, these are the things. So you can have a multi-directional and a multi-goal approach. You can talk about marriage equality and at the same time other rights that are missing. We are in 2023 and we still don't have trans people anywhere, the representation anywhere. It's the privileged few like me. I am privileged, who are able to access things. Otherwise, you end up, I know transgender people who are PhD and they are unable to get job. I know trans people who have skill, who have everything, and the moment they go to any organization to work, they are not accepted, they are not hired because of their identity. So there are a lot of things. Trans people are killed, they are disowned by their families, and there is so much that is happening. And our focus has, we feel like that the marriage is going to emancipate us. Marriage is the ultimate goal of the queer community, but which is actually far from true. Uh, Also, I think because I come from a legal background, so I'll give a little legal bite here, which is that, see, marriage is not going to be the end of it. Marriage involves a lot of things. In India, if you look at the consequence of marriage is followed by having a child. and it could be a child through adoption or other means, not necessarily procreation. It also follows property. It also follows you becoming entitled to certain rights, and you also becoming entitled to certain benefits, and it also takes away certain rights of yours. So for example, matters like divorce, how will we deal with those matters? Like domestic violence, so a lot of trans women live with their partners and face violence every day. During COVID, there were a lot of trans women who were forced by their partners to do sex work, and they had to, because their partners would beat them up, and their partners would just take away the money, spend it on booze, spend it on themselves. So how do we navigate that way? If you allow people to get married, and if you accept queer marriages, how do we navigate all those things, whether the trans women or whether the trans men and other people will be on the equal footing, their rights will be recognized or not? Because if you look at the TG Act, the Transgender Persons Protection Act, and if you look at the penalties that are provided for assaulting a trans person, maximum punishment that is there is 2 years, which is absolutely ridiculous, because even if you rape a transgender person, the maximum punishment that you can get is 2 years. So the problem lies there. We have so many basic issues that we need to deal with. We have so many basic issues that are actually relevant to our survival, relevant to our existence. For example, trans people who are unable to access hormone therapy, or trans people who are unable to get surgery that is both economical and is safe. There are trans people who have committed suicide because their surgeries did not go well, and because there was no recourse, no redressal, no way they could approach any authority where they could file a complaint, even though doctor is consumer within Consumer Protection Act. A service provider within the Consumer Protection Act. So there are so many things there that are happening, but we keep on hankering about the marriage thing. I think it is high time that we do not forget that there are very basic things like a transgender person. It was 3-4 days back only. There's a trans person who is unable to get hostel. There is Yashika from Punjab University. She was unable to get hostel in Chandigarh University. So you push them, you kick them out of the education system, you force them to go for beggary, you force them to go for sex work and things like that. So for me, my education, my healthcare, these things take priority over marriage. So I see.
Yes.
Thank
you. Yes, Raghavi. So we would all probably agree to one thing, that we should take a multi-strategic approach, wherein we should not just focus on marriage equality, but also equality in rights in healthcare, education, and being accepted in the society, because marriage is not like the entire life, it's just a part of life. Yes, we definitely need it to access a lot of advantages, like taking decisions on behalf of our partner, or having legal rights if you're married, having the dignity, as Dr. Mukul Sharma said. So, and as as all of you all have come to this, like marriage will definitely allow us to grow as a nation, because human resource, which is made up of all kinds of people, the trans people, the LGBTQI plus everybody, and the cisgender people, everybody is included. So if we have good physical health, education, and mental health, we as a nation will grow and we will prosper, I believe. So marriage is necessary, but then I guess we should take a multi-strategic approach. Do we not agree to that, speakers?
Can I have 1 minute?
Yes,
One
yes.
minute. Yeah.
Yes.
as you said that marriage, as I also said, everybody said that marriage won't solve all the problems, right?
Right.
Since the community members are not aware of. But good thing of this, the whole marriage procedure is going on, right? In the court, is it creating a little benefit towards having the awareness. Media has been, catching the news and direct or directly awareness regarding the community that at least they exist in this world, that is being noticed, and this is a good thing. And regarding the marriage, since it's a violation of the equality, there are problems. I said that so far from Assam or for the entire Northeast, not a single couple has filed a case in the Guwahati High Court. And even if suppose I'm a not economically privileged person, I have a partner, right? And I want to file a
Right.
case, right? The cost of how expensive it is to hire a
Right.
advocate, and this is just a very physical. Even if people want, the the advocates are not coming up to support them. Even the community member advocates won't come up. So this is a big issue. I don't know, Raghavi, what you think about this. This is one of the issues we need to, because everything is related to the money, and community members, a majority of the community members are not economically sound. As I noticed in the gay members, Indian gay members, youth, a majority are having mental disability. They are not,
Right.
earning properly.
But
And
I
this is a
guess,
green thing.
I'll tell
yes.
you this one thing that I have been observing this. So even if you look at the marriage equality proceedings that were taking place in court, you will realize one thing, that a the lawyers that were there, the people were able to pull in the best lawyers of this country, from Abhishek Manu Singhvi to Mukul Rohtgi to Menaka Guruswamy and Arundhati Katsu, Saurabh Kripal and everyone. They were able to pull in the best lawyers. Mr. K.V. Vishwanathan was one of the lawyers who also was appointed recently as Supreme Court judge, a direct appointee from the bar. So so this was the litany of lawyers that was there. But if you see the petitions related to trans rights, you usually find that people do not take up these senior lawyers. You won't find them appearing for any of the petitions that are related to trans rights. And there are so many of the petitions there in the court, especially after the coming of the TG Act, because TG Act in itself has a lot of problems, and a lot of its provisions were challenged for constitutionality, and a lot of its provisions were a lot of it was a lot of cases went into court to enforce some of the provisions of the act. For example, creation of TG board, for example, creation of healthcare centers that would provide gender affirming care. So all these things have not happened. Uh, 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 Even after, I think, yeah, 1920, even after 4 or 5 years of the TG Act, those things are still, even in Delhi, PG cards, people are unable to get those cards. But you won't find that sort of representation. You don't find that sort of enthusiasm about something as basic. Because marriage in itself is a very extraordinary thing in human lives. Even if you look at the cishet couples, their marriage is also something that is like the ultimate goal of your life. But the basic things that you need for your existence, a ration card, maybe healthcare, TG card, so that you can avail some of the benefits, pension, all these things. So all of that is largely missing from the discourse, and that is why I feel like even though we need to talk about all these things, even though we have so many sessions about marriage equality, even though there is so much written on marriage equality, we need to talk more about the lives of the queer people. and especially from a very class and caste perspective, because there are queer people across classes and across castes. So we need to have a perspective that is not elitist or classist. We need to have a perspective that does not really portray queerness as something that is in the domain of elite people. We also need to talk about people who are part of the rural India and are queer identifying and are unable to, understand what is it with them, who they are. So it's that is why it's very important that we have a very radical perspective of how we look at things, not just marriage. Even if you talk about marriage, what I feel like is that the court might, because marriage involves a lot of complex laws. It involves conjugal rights, it involves judicial separation, it involves divorce, it involves maintenance, adoption, it involves insurance, all those things. So the court won't be able to deal with all of it. Most, like, what maximum the court can do is it can say that we ask the government, we say that the non-recognition of union between queer couples or same-sex couples, the non-recognition of it is unconstitutional. I feel that is the most the court can do, and then order the government to come up with something. Or for a temporary period, the court can come up with something like they did in Vishakha guidelines, where we did not have any set of rules for the protection of women in the workplace, but the court came up with the guidelines,
Yes.
and the government followed. But we need to also understand that whether the government will have the will, or the government will find a way to circumvent the whole thing there, because the court came up with the court delivered the Nalsa verdict. And then after 2 years, the TG Act came, and the TG Act does not even acknowledge most of the things that were said in the Nalsa judgment. So, for example, right to self-identification, the TG Act runs against it. The TG Act says that you have to present a certificate that you have gotten your surgery and everything done, and a district magistrate will do your whole inspection. So I think these, yeah.
Yes, Raghavi, we have so many points to discuss. I think we should make another session on, like, discussing on the trans rights. Like, we have drifted a little bit from like marriage equity. So it was so, like, it was so brainstorming. Like, we brainstormed together to learn so much. No, it's really nice listening to all of you all. All of you all have, like, given a beautiful insight on the topic. So one take-home message for sure, what I am going to take home today is that, like, I'm going to change my perception about same-sex marriage. I'm going to put it as marriage equality from now onwards. And then we should take a multi-strategic approach, because there are a lot more to work on, like education, healthcare, along with the marriage sector. Thank you so much, speakers, for having, we are happy to have you here today. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Thank you all from Anazari.
Thank you, Kashmira.
Thank you.